Dispatch here on the SDH Network. I'm Madison Cruz. Joined with me is the voice of Atlanta United in Jason Longshore. We're here to get you ready for Atlanta United going on the road to face Cincinnati this Saturday. Jason, road game again against a really, really solid Cincinnati team. It's going to be a huge challenge, especially with the international break, taking away a lot of key players for the Five Stripes.
Yeah, 10 players called up from the club, 8 from the first team, 2 from the second team. Not everybody that we thought might have been called up was called up, though. Alexei Miranchuk, Saba Lobjanidze, Latte Lath, all still here. But this is going to be a very piecemeal group, I think, throughout the week. I mean, today it's kind of impossible to read too much into it because this was the first day back after a Sunday match for both the first team and the second team. Maybe things that jumped out to me, like watching who was here more than anything. We saw Ronan win with the first team. We saw Ashton Gordon. We saw Aiden Torres. Who else did we see with the first team that might have been a little bit of a surprise? I think that's it.
We did see Ronald Hernandez come back out, and he was training there as well. So that is also huge, especially for a lot of those key playmakers missing in the back line, because as of right now, the only center back you do have is Derek Williams.
5 center backs across the club called up for international duty. Stian Gregersson's with Norway. Efrain Morales is with Bolivia. Noah Cobb is with the U.S. U20s. Luis Abram is with Peru. Caden Moore, who we're going through the names, and we're thinking maybe Caden Moore gets a call up as he's on an Atlanta United 2 contract. He's with the US U18s along with Dominic Jean-Gui. So 5 center backs. You typically don't have 5 center backs under contract between your first team and your second team. It's going to be a challenge on Saturday.
It's going to be a huge challenge, but there's going to be a couple players that we're going to see really step up, especially looking at who's going to possibly start for the Five Stripes this weekend. But one of those players that we've seen throughout the last couple of games, Emmanuel Latte Lath, talked to media today. He talked about building those connections, not only with Brooks Lennon, not only with Pedro Amador, but also with those 3 up top with him as well. We also got the chance to catch up with Xande Silva as well, talked about the team not being afraid, and that's what Ronnie Dyla wants them to do when they step out onto the field, is not be afraid to make those mistakes and fear the consequences. And here's what they had to say.
Oh, it was good because even in the train we tried to find the connection, he tried to explain me how the kind of crosses he put. Me, I tried to study him and Pedro, how they what they can give to me in the box. So yeah, good connection.
How have you seen those connections in the group, not only from Pedro, from Brooks, but also from Saba, from Miranchuk, and from Miguel as well? Yeah,
how I say, we are new, so we just need to stay together and try to keep going and improve, because you never stop to learn and increase yourself. Yeah, that's what I think.
It's kind of a complicated one, sorry. Yeah. Ronnie's talked about taking away consequences. He doesn't want you to play afraid.
Afraid. Oh, of course, this is life. Life, you cannot be afraid. You know, like for me, football is like life. You know, when you work hard, you know, you succeed. So I think we need to go to the games like not scared, but like aware. You know, that we can make mistakes, and we there to fix it. So yeah.
To follow up on that, when you're sitting on the bench watching, and you see some of your teammates, do you think to yourself, "Oh, he seemed scared. He seemed afraid to make a mistake"?
Nah, I don't say that. I cannot say that, you know, like, because I train with them like every day, and they don't see like they scared or something. I think, as I said, like mistakes happen. Mm-hmm. Like as a life, everyone's gonna make mistakes. What you gotta do is like fix it, to not to happen next time.
To follow up on both of those, you have a lot of new guys that are going to be in the roster, and you talk about mistakes possibly happening, but seizing the opportunity. Coach talked about that the other night. Just the fact that, you know, what do you feel from these guys that maybe they get their chance this weekend?
Everyone, if to be in Atlanta, you gotta be good players, no? So I think everyone is ready. So everyone is waiting for the opportunity, and everyone is working hard. So for me, it's just a matter of time, and and chemistry between all of us, and everyone be there like to help each other, you know. And I think if we keep working hard and being together every day, we're gonna succeed as soon as possible.
Jason, I think the thing that stood out to me about just chatting with both of them is something that Xande said, was just about them not wanting to step out on the field, feeling afraid, feeling like nervous about making those mistakes, but being able to go out there and just play the football that they want to play and do it in a way where they're not so like stressed out.
Yeah, full credit to Xande Silva for kind of diving in on Look, a topic it's not exactly easy to explain in general, but especially when English isn't your first language. I asked him the question about what Ronnie said about consequences and playing fearlessly, and I thought it was really cool that he dug into it. It's hard. It's a hard mindset because you are balancing that always, and I talked about it on Atlanta Soccer tonight. You know, the idea of balancing playing wide open and being aggressive with having control. This fits into that because you typically try to get control and keep the ball when you're feeling under pressure, when you're worried about making a mistake, when you want to dial things down. You've got to pick your spots. And I think Xande really encapsulated that as well as you can from a player who needs to take chances. He's a guy who has to go 1v1 with players, and if he wins half of his 1v1 duels, that's really good. You know, if he wins the big ones and he scores the goal, he might win 1 to 10, but he might win the match. So you have to be that kind of fearless player, and I think Xande's got that in him. With Latte Lath, you know, he's talking real talk about building connections. It doesn't always happen in 1 game or in 2 games or in a month or in 3 months. It takes time. You never really know, but I think it's coming. You know, I said it last night on AST. I feel like every game from preseason game 1 to now, the team has improved. I think in the regular season, the team has improved with each game. Can it be better? Yes. Can you find more goals? Yes. But has it improved every game? Yes. Now you need the reward for it.
I think that's the one thing to stress as well. You know, one thing that Manu did talk about was for every team, it's very different. For some teams, it clicks immediately. Yeah. Some teams, it's perfect the first time around and everything's great. But for a lot of other teams, it's more of a slower process. It can take maybe a little bit longer. And, you know, maybe for some fans, that might not be what you want to hear. But at the end of the day, if it continues to get better and we're continuing to see the improvement, which we have been seeing out of all of these games, the reward's going to come. And once that happens, this team's going to be flying through MLS.
Yeah, there's no way to guarantee chemistry. You can recruit players that you think will fit together. Their personalities might not mesh. Guys might get along really well off the field, and it might not quite click on the field. You never know until you get them together, and then you shape and you mold it like clay. And I think right now you are in that process if you're Ronnie Deila and his coaching staff. It's not quite there yet, but we're seeing it get better each time. So hopefully that will continue to improve. Now, Saturday, look, it's a different conversation because you're missing Miguel Almiron from that group. Does that make it easier for the pieces to fit together in a way on Saturday? Maybe. Does that make it harder? Are you kind of starting from scratch? Yeah. Like, you're going to have to find things that work on Saturday to get a result. It won't be easy, but Cincinnati's dealing with similar things too. They have a lot of injuries and absences on the back line. We'll see what they look like on Saturday as well.
We chatted a little bit on who was there in training today. Training was a little bit lighter today, especially, like you mentioned, with the back and forth. You had the first team playing. You also had the twos playing at the exact same time in Orlando. So a lot of players taking a bit of a rest day, especially from yesterday, also today as well. But going to expect to see a little bit more, see that pick up a little bit more, especially as we get closer to Thursday session.
Yeah, my guess is tomorrow will be a pretty intense session. Thursday, we'll be kind of dialing things in for what Saturday looks like for the first team. And that's still a little TBD, you know? I mean, you've got to figure out the center back situation. Do you have to maybe change the shape because of availability? You've got to figure out who replaces the players who are away. There's no easy answers on this one. Every team around the league is dealing with it this week, some more than others. The better the roster, the more national team players you're going to have. Atlanta's got a lot. We'll see how they handle it on Saturday.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be a ton of fun getting to see all the pieces fit together. Could possibly see a lot of new players that we saw in preseason maybe step up and step into this role. A lot of players that we're excited to see. So it's going to be a ton of fun on Saturday. I'm excited to get to watch it because it's going to be a ton of fun. But speaking of where you can watch it on MLS Season Pass. You can also listen to the game on 92.9 The Game. Pre-game coverage is going to start at 1:30 p.m. Myself and Abe Gordon will take you through everything you need to know about the match. And then at around 2:30, Mike Connie and Jason Longshore will take over as they'll be at TQL Stadium.